Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's settle down. This young man, we know him as Backbone and what? Posture. Yeah, man, I tell you what, I love him. Sometimes he's on location. Sometimes you never know where Sam Foster's going to pop up at. Love his messages. I love the way he delivers them. A little different from everybody else. That's what we love. Variety is the spice of life, right? If we're all look the same, all did the same, this would be a boring life, be a boring world. We need some excitement. We need people to bring it a different way. You may not identify with different speakers, but we all can identify with all the speakers. But hey, get the ones that you like and listen to them over and over and over. Ladies and gentlemen, he hails from Dallas, Texas. He made a decision. This young man decided to sleep on his floor. He said, Mr. Thomas, I'm sleeping on my floor until I get to my next promotion. I don't know, no matter how long it may take or how short it may take. And then he did a training for us where he went out in his garage. He showed his truck sitting on flats. No, not that it got flat. He took the air out. He said, I can't drive them anymore, sir. I'm either catch a ride for somebody or catch an Uber until I get to my next position because I got to get out here. Now I'm forcing myself. Listen to what I'm saying. I'm forcing myself. I'm forcing myself to meet people. Wow. Are you going out forcing yourself? Well, ladies, without further ado, can we give a warm welcome to none other than Mr. Dallas himself, the great Mr. Sam Foster.
Okay, once again, I want to give it back to you, Mr. Thomas, for that introduction, of course, and thank all the veterans for all that you guys do. I'm going to be really brief because I am on location. And I had to sneak into a little cubby hole to actually do this, what I do. And I thank you guys. I don't take you for granted. All the way from Japan, I get it. I see you, and I thank you because you could have been anywhere else. So I thank you also to Mr. Jabri Clemens for his technical aspect. Because I called him last night, had him do a little something for me. So I appreciate that, sir. We're going to get down to business. Without further ado, what I want to do is I want to play a quick snippet.
I went from not being recruited as a junior, I didn't have one scholarship offer, to being the top 5 player in the country my senior year.
How so?
In 6 months.
How so,
6
man?
months. Work ethic. My high school coach, he brought me in his office. Me and him were tight. He goes, hey, Kenny, what do you want to do in life? I'm like, I want to be an NBA player. He goes, oh, I didn't know that because you don't work hard enough.
Oh, wow.
But he said it so casually that I knew he was serious and he wasn't trying to motivate me. And so that summer, I just did the ordinary things extra. Instead of taking the elevator, I walked up the stairs or ran up the stairs when I went home. So you do that 4 times a day, and then you do your work. I just did extra things that were ordinary. No scholarships junior year. After the end of my senior year, I was first team All-American, McDonald's All-American, and every school in the country asked me to go to their school.
Wow. 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 I hope you guys caught that. If you're taking notes, the title of the message is Extraordinary. That's right. Extraordinary. The reason why I'm saying that, guys, you paid attention to what he said. He said, and just in case, I'm going to give this a backstory because a lot of people don't know who that is. That's Mr. Kenny Smith. He's known for basketball, of course. He's quite a philanthropic individual on his own right, but he's really known for basketball. He played for the Houston Rockets. He was their point guard. He was pretty good. He was actually pretty good. He played with another guy by the name of Hakeem Olajuwon. They won a few championships out there in Houston, so he was a pretty big deal. But I wanted you guys to hone in on something. He said he went from nothing, not a scholarship in sight, not being recruited. He was just below average, really, below average. He said in 6 months, he went from no scholarship offers to everybody in the country wanted this individual. And the secret sauce was simple. He said, I did the ordinary extra. Think about that for a second, ladies and gentlemen. That's all he did. He said, instead of taking the elevator, he took the stairs. And then, ladies and gentlemen, I listened to these individuals on the call this week. I was blown away. Cowboy came with it. You know, Kerry Roder came with it. Then you had Mr. Thomas. Oh, my God. Yesterday was phenomenal. He took the gloves off. Salute to you, sir. Took the gloves off and let us have it. And everything that I got out of all the speakers this week kept ringing in my ear, guys, was consistency. Being consistent. I get it. Somebody's going to say, but nothing. That's why I had him play the video twice. He said that he had nothing in sight. He said the coach asked him what he wanted to do. He said, I want to be a professional player. He said the coach said it so loosely, like you don't work hard enough. In other words, the coach was good with him. He said, well, if you want to be, he specifically said. So I put it in a notation of wanting to be an SVP. Well, Mr. Thomas said it best yesterday. It's the work ethic. Some of us are on the sideline instead of being on the front line. Let me repeat that. Some of us are on the sideline when we should be on the front line. That's what it takes, guys, being on the front line. Be willing to take the hits. Because if you're willing to do something that everybody else chooses not to do, you'll always have what other folks won't have. Let me repeat that. If you're willing to choose to do something everybody else won't do, you'll always have what everybody else does not have. That's why Mr. Thomas lives an extraordinary life, because he paid the price early. Just to give you guys an example, and Mr. Thomas don't even know I'm going to say this, and sometimes he has a conversation with people and he doesn't know a lot of times the nuggets that he drops. He was having a conversation with somebody and I was eavesdropping. And he said to somebody, really loosely, he said, all this stuff, that you see me wearing, all this Louis Vuitton and stuff that you guys may see me wearing. He said, when I first started, I never wore that stuff. He said, I never wore it. And it struck a chord in me. You get a lot of people, a lot of times say, I want to buy this, I want to buy that. Yeah, but you want to buy it, but you don't want to pay the cost. Mr. Thomas made the statement in passing, and I caught it. I caught a nugget that he threw down. He said, I never wore that stuff. In other words, he waited on what we should commonly call delayed gratification, which means he was willing to wait a while to do something that he can do now at ease. He made himself uncomfortable so he can make himself comfortable. Let me say that again, guys. He made himself uncomfortable so now he can make himself comfortable through a little small thing called a work ethic. In other words, he was willing to be extraordinary, coming out the box, if you will, to put himself in a position now where he can go anywhere he wants to go and do anything he wants to do. And I know somebody's on the call, I get it, guys. I'm thinking the same thing. Sometimes you're on a call and you think to yourself, can I really do this? Yes, you can really do it. Because if you do the same thing, you're doing a little bit extra. That's all that counts. And I'm going to let you guys in on something. If you do a little bit extra, it's commonly called consistency anyway. And if you keep yourself consistent, watch this, guys, you make it what we call a lifestyle. Extraordinary done consistently is nothing short of a lifestyle. ACN has to be a lifestyle. Your work ethic has to be a lifestyle. Everything has to be consistent in order for you to get to a place called better. You have to be willing to come out the comfort zone. Why you say that, Sam? Glad you asked. Had a conversation with a young man a couple of days ago. Young man couldn't have been no more than 20 years old. I asked him what he wanted to do. He started telling me all this stuff he wanted to do, all this stuff he wanted to do. And it hit me. He has no work ethic because he's bouncing around from this way, that way. I want to do this, I want to do that. Nothing wrong with having aspirations and being inspired. But we have to chill the fat down a little bit. Be more specific. How do you plan on getting there? How many PBZs are you trying to do? How many PBRs are you trying to do? Give yourself a chart. Give yourself a blueprint for you, not for anybody else. You shouldn't be trying to do this for anybody else but yourself first. Go from inside out. Then you can help somebody else. Watch this. By default. What do you mean, Sam? If you keep the work ethic you're supposed to do by being extraordinary, you're going to have a work ethic that everybody else can see. You don't have to say anything. Your actions can speak way louder than what you can ever say to anybody. Mr. Thomas was an SVP before SVP was already invented because his work ethic spoke for itself. Heard him what he said yesterday. He said, you've been in this business 10 years, your business ought to be paying for itself by default because you ought to already have this thing in motion. Now, once again, guys, I'm not trying to beat anybody. I'm not trying to, be on some other kind of stuff. What I am trying to impress upon you is nobody's special. Even the people that are elite, they just did the extraordinary things that it took. In other words, they fell in love with the process. If you're not willing to fall in love with the process, you might as well get to the back of the line. If you're not going to make this a lifestyle and something that is in you on a day-to-day basis, guys, you might as well not be doing it. Because if you make it a lifestyle, then it's not really working. It's called ambition and motivation. And you got to motivate yourself before anybody else can motivate you. Think about why you started doing this business in the first place. Hopefully it was to free somebody. Mainly yourself first. Because if you can't do it for yourself, you can't do it for somebody else until you do it for yourself. You can become your proof in your own pudding, ladies and gentlemen. You're not on this call just to listen to me. You're on this call to get off the call and do something. And do it every day. Whether it's an extra phone call, it's an extra PBC, it's an extra somebody telling you no. Make it extra. And your ordinary will come up by default. Let me say that again. Make it extra, and your ordinary will come up by default. Now, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to put this in your frame of mind the rest of the weekend. If you hadn't seen my information I did last week, it mirrors what I'm talking about today. It's a combination. I'm doing this for a reason. I want you guys to go back and look at that Floyd Mayweather clip because the passion that he had for what he was doing, he went from ordinary to extraordinary. Like I said last week, I want you guys to pay attention to his posture. I want you to pay attention to how he felt in that moment. If you look in his eyes, this guy felt some kind of way about losing that most people will never get to because they don't have the passion this guy has. This guy has pure passion. That's why he was 50 and old, pure passion. Kenny Smith, same way. He just went about it in a different manner. One person had to depend solely on himself because boxing is a one-man sport. Another person had to realize that although basketball is a team sport, he had to find the extra in himself, Mr. Kenny Smith, in order to be a McDonald's All-American in 6 months. What are you saying, Sam? This don't have to happen way down the line. It can happen sooner than you think. It's in your mind first before it's ever in fruition on a normal basis. It's in your mind. What do you think about? What do you think about every day? You have to make this a passion for you. I will be an SVP. I will be. You got to remember now, if I'm not mistaken, Miss mind is slipping me now. Guy out of Baltimore, him and his wife, Chanel Burke. She said, I was already SVP. My paperwork hadn't showed up yet. She spoke it into existence. So the rest of the weekend, guys, I want you to speak into existence. I am an SVP. My paperwork just hadn't showed up yet. I am an SVP, not an RVP. I'm an SVP. My paperwork hadn't showed up yet. I want you to keep that in the back of your mind. Now, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to have Mr. Clemens, if you will, play this last
I have
clip.
never met anybody who became incredibly successful in any area of their life until they had suffered and sweated and sacrificed and kept their focus and fought through tears and trials and tests. And if you have a dream and you commit to it, it will come to pass.
Ladies and gentlemen, that has been my time. Let's go out today in the rest of this year and commit to becoming extraordinary. Thank you, sir.